Good morning. Today is day 2 of Storage Field Day. Today's video is brought to you by lots of jet lag, very little sleep, but yeah, full of excitement for the day ahead of us. Yesterday was my first ever day at Storage Field Day. Was absolutely fantastic. Really sort of deep dives into the subjects we covered. Very focused on enterprise storage, so real steep learning curve for me. Generally, my customers and where I work is in the mid-market. We started off the day at Dell EMC offices, which was a very short stretch limo ride away from where we're staying here in San Jose. We started off looking at the VMAX technology. Now, I'm going to prepare a much more in-depth video or blog when I'm back in the UK, but I want to just kind of share my initial thoughts on each of the technologies that we saw in Storage Field Day. So, first of all, VMAX technology, clearly a very mature product line. And I think one of the figures, and excuse me, I'm having a look at some of my notes here. I think it's 94% of the Fortune 50 companies are relying on VMAX, and I think there was a joke that if every VMAX failed, sort of industry or what would the knock-on effect be with basically any system that has a reliability on having that storage architecture up and running is most probably leveraging the VMAX technology. And the really clear message was that VMAX was all around availability and scale, really. And that came very clear. The presenter was absolutely fantastic, was able to start at a level so I was able to catch up, and the people that had a lot more experience in the room were still able to appreciate the content before digging really deep. We kind of went through the architecture, which is made up of bricks that allow you to scale out. Each brick has a number of directors in it, and then the disk coming off the back of that, and scale and performance into, I think it was into the millions of IOPS, and really low latency and huge petabyte scale. So very impressive product line. Clearly not just a mature product line that's aging, but the all-flash configurations that we saw are able to keep up with even the newest guys on the block. So really enjoyed looking at the VMAX technology, and it's clear if you're looking for a solution around availability that is able to scale with your needs, both scale up and scale out, that the VMAX product line is probably the one for you to look at. Our second presentation then was staying at Dell, and we were then joined by the Extreme IO team. Obviously a product that hasn't been around for quite as long. Real focus on high performance and mass deduplication. That was the real message. I don't really know the backstory on Extreme IO and certainly their version 1 of the product, but it was clear that they had listened to a lot of customer feedback as to how they should mature the unit in the X2 offering, and that had been listened to. Certainly brand new HTML5 user interface, the ability to be able to scale out the architecture with additional X bricks. But the really important aspect was the deduplication, and we were talking about there was an X2S unit that had between 7.2 terabytes and 28.2 terabytes of raw capacity, and that was giving you up to 103.9 terabytes of effective storage at the back end of it. And certainly the use cases around VDI, where they were showing performance graphs of 4,000 desktops being booted, and I think they were able to boot a desktop effectively every 36.3 seconds on that platform, with latency staying well down there. I think it was sub-millisecond latency, so certainly for a VDI platform to be able to remove that bottleneck of latency, which is generally the real killer for VDI, to be able to scale, and on top of that get mass deduplication, which is really effective in that VDI platform. That was a really interesting use case. I think it was clear it wasn't as mature as the VMAX technology, and certainly if high-end availability on the VMAX, and VMAX was able and fully support to be able to upgrade firmware uninterrupted, but also downgrade, whereas if you had a look at the Extreme IO, they supported upgrade, but downgrade, if that had to be done, had to be done for a full managed support process. So yeah, it's all about kind of choosing what your needs is. I suppose also looking at budget. We didn't really talk about budget on any part of that. The third presentation then was a ride into San Francisco. First time for me. I've flown into San Francisco twice now, but I've never actually gone down into the city. So it was nice to be able to experience some of that, albeit very briefly in a car ride and a short walk. But we went up to the 30th floor and had some fantastic views of the bay when we went to go and visit Scality. Now, Scality is an object-based storage technology. They were talking to us about two technologies, in fact. One was Ring, which was the object-based storage, used by people like Daily Motion. They also mentioned medical use cases and banking financial use cases to be able to store petabytes worth of data, and they really focused on it. Actually, their ideal customers start at 1 petabyte and go up from there. One of the use cases, Daily Motion are a user of theirs. They are storing 3.5 billion videos on the Scality Ring, which is obviously this massive object-based storage using I think it's Amazon S3 as the main protocol, but it also does support file. And they were storing around 35 to 40 petabytes on it. And the real difference here is this is a software play. It can use commodity hardware. They were talking about partnering up and solutions with HP, Dell, all the major manufacturers. Cisco as well was the other one. The second one, and I think where they really kind of grabbed my attention, because I can only dream of working with a customer probably with that scale of data usage, was they've got a second product line which is Zenko. And what Zenko aims to do, at the moment it's open source, but they're looking at ways to commercialize it, I believe, moving forward. But it's all about having a multi-cloud storage controller that allows you the ability to manage and move data between whichever cloud provider suits you at any given time. And they're able to keep the data in a native format, but make that very easy to manage and to utilize. So it was a really good subject, deep dive, really good to experience some of that San Francisco startup after coming from Dell EMC, although potentially they're the most successful startup after only coming together a year ago. But really kind of interesting use cases, good to see the customers that they've got, and I'm really interested as to what this kind of future aspiration with the Zenko product is going to bring. So that brought our day to a close. Fantastic networking opportunity in the evening. Great to meet people like Jason Bockey from Dell. I've known him for a while. Also, John and Kat Troyer joined us as well from Tech Reckoning. So it was a really good atmosphere in downtown San Francisco. We got back to the hotel very late, very little sleep's been had, but now it's time to hit the road and head off to Dell again. So looking forward to day 2.